Hi everyone, this is Kenesha. So today I want to talk to you guys about self-love. As you know, we've started this series called Love, Marriage, Love, and Relationships. And I thought it was very important that I talk about the importance of self-love. I've learned over the years that many of us have grown up to believe that it's selfish to love ourselves. In fact, here's my truth. Like it seemed to be the reoccurring message in most churches. I remember recently that I was at church and this minister shared this story that he was very proud of about how his mother had named his sister Joy. And he said that she named her Joy and told her her name was Joy so that she could always remember Jesus first, others second, yourself last. And I thought, well, that's sad. That's very sad. And I know that like my thoughts on this is unconventional for a lot of people. But when you think about the scripture that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, I think what people have done is taken that scripture and made that, love your neighbor and stop there. Well, I've learned over the years through my own experience, through talking to other people, through the books I've read, that we can only love our neighbors as well as we love ourselves. And that is why I wanted to take this time to encourage you to get into a place where you're comfortable with loving you. So also in the Bible, God says that I knitted you together in your mother's womb. When I think about that, I think about how God was intentional about creating a Kenesha. That he didn't design me only for me to come along or for the world to come along and reshape me. The dreams that I have, the desires that I have, the ones that, align with who he is, the visions for my life that I have, the thoughts for what family is, for me, is very intentional. They're not necessarily needed to be molded so much by what the world tells me my children should be or how I should change myself to fit this mold of what everyone is telling me to be. God has said he knitted me together in my mother's womb. He knows the number of hairs on my head. He accepts me fully. So then there has to come a time where I start accepting me fully. And for me, accepting me fully only happened with me learning who am I? What makes me tick? What motivates me? What makes me do what I do? What needs do I have? And so often we are so afraid to look deep within ourselves to find out who we are. So with this video, I want you guys to be encouraged. I want you to be willing to slow down a little bit, to do self-care from a place of self-fullness and not selfishness. So self-care could be taking the time to go get your feet done. But while you're getting the pedicure, the manicure, meditate on like, why is this important to me? Am I doing this so that others approve of my pretty toes, or am I doing this because this really makes me feel good? And connect to that. Take the time to understand like what are your needs? What makes you really feel important? What makes you feel connected to people? What is your self-talk, right? I think like that is one of the most important ones. And for me, that is kind of my constant battle. What is my self-talk? Now, over the years, I believe I've gotten better at it. And what I mean by that, and the reason I can say that I've gotten better at it, is because I really enjoy like being by myself. I enjoy my own thoughts. I actually find myself laughing sometimes at the things that's going on in my head. But I do remember a time when I didn't enjoy being by myself. I hated my self-talk, my self-talk, because it was always telling me, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're fooling everybody. Like I was an art manager at a television station. Then another job they gave me, creative director, and then I was the happy wife and all that. Like I always felt like you're fooling everybody. They're gonna find out. They're gonna find out that you don't really know what you're doing. They're gonna find out that you're winging this thing. Like this whole process of everything telling me over and over again in my head, I'm not enough. You're not doing enough. You're not smart enough. You didn't read enough books. Well, you know a little bit about that, but not quite enough. Like just that whole, all the time, self-doubt, self-doubt, self-doubt. Now, the way I've learned to conquer that is, and I hope you would do this too. So if you are like me and you struggle with self-doubt, one way you can conquer that, and it will take time, it takes practice, is start being intentional. Start really thinking about your thoughts. Get connected to the idea that you are hearing your thoughts. So therefore, if I'm observing my thoughts, then maybe I'm not the thought. That became very powerful for me the first time I heard that. And then I started listening to my thoughts. And and I always thought it was interesting how my thoughts would say, accuse me, you are this or you are that. And I'm thinking, well, if it's me, why wouldn't I say I am this or I am that? Like, why wouldn't my thoughts talk to me if they were mine and I was controlling them from an I perspective? And so I started thinking like, and everybody heard Joyce's saying, think about what you're thinking about. I started thinking about, like, what am I thinking about? And does this serve me? So is it really serving me to sit around and think about how I am the worst person in the world, and how I don't do anything right, and how I messed up today, and then go over the conversations? Well, I said this. Well, maybe what I really should have said was that. It's done. It's done. So I could forgive myself. Oh my God, I said that, and I realized it really hurt her feelings. Or I said that, and I really realized that, like, that wasn't the best part of me. So what can I do? I can't go back and replay this message. I can forgive myself right here and now. I can slow these thoughts down, and I can forgive myself. So loving myself enough to forgive myself. So first thing I want you guys to do is practice forgiving yourself. Secondly, to get those thoughts to slow down, pretend like you have a audio recorder in your head. Most of us today, we have like DVDs, or on my computer, I can hit stop or play whenever I want to. When I'm watching a video, if I want to slow it down, I can do that, right? Do that with your thoughts. So if there's a negative thought, and I do this all the time, and I promise you this has changed my life. When there's a negative thought, and I sometimes wake up at 2 in the morning, I always have to go to the bathroom. And I used to be, I would wake up and all the negativity would show up. See, you did it wrong today. You got it wrong. You're not, oh my God, how you guys going to pay this bill? What are you going to do? Just everything was there to attack me. And I used to just sit in it, and I would be up for hours thinking about whatever this thing is in my head. How am I going to afford my kids' college when they were 3? Yeah. So just like all of this stuff, what I've learned to do now is, no, as I say, stop that. And what can you think about? And I can think about, oh, I'm everything that I need to be perfect for who God created me to be. I have everything I need at this moment. God will provide the college tuition. God will open a door. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So I instead of meditating on those thoughts, on these thoughts that aren't serving me, the thoughts that are keeping me up at night, that I don't believe are from God, from the best of me, right? So if God lives inside of us, there's a part of us that is love. There's a part of us that is completely capable of everything we need to be to succeed in life. So for me, when I hear those really bad negative thoughts that are belittling me and taking me out of my greatness, then that's not from God, and that's not from the best part of me, and that's not serving me. So I stop them. Like I imagine sometimes, in my mind, I just kind of mash the stop button. Stop, no, or I say delete, 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 delete. Delete those thoughts, and then I fill them with my good, positive, healthy thoughts. And that has helped me to fall back to sleep, but it's also helped me to show up. And what I mean by show up is, one, show up to do these type of videos. Helps me to show up for the speech that I've been invited to do. It helps me show up my loving self when I'm at my Bible studies or when I meet new people. But the reason, one of the greatest reasons for learning self-love is because when you learn to love yourself, you can be more loving to other people. See, I was always judging myself. Now that is my truth. In the negative self-talk, in everything I had, everything I did, because my message was, you're not enough. Your house is not enough. Your car is not enough. Your husband's not enough. Your children aren't enough. And that, that could be, the house isn't pretty enough. The house isn't clean enough. The sofa isn't nice enough. The car, I know is new, but it's not. You got a Chrysler and they got a Mercedes. Like always comparing myself to other people. So what I did in judging myself, then I judged everyone around me. Maybe looking for validation for who I was and trying to be a better person by kind of one-upping the people around me. But I couldn't see that's why I was judging them until I learned to love me. And when I completely fell in love with Kenesha, and it's still a process, like there's still parts of me that struggle, but being aware that I don't have to stay in this place. Being aware that no, you can love yourself by forgiving yourself. You can love yourself by saying kind words to you. It helps me be more forgiving to family, to friends, to my children. I think it has made me a better mom, and I definitely think it's made me a better wife because of my own self-love. I don't have to walk around all the time angry with my husband for leaving his clothes on the floor, or I love Andre, but if he goes into a kitchen, he is not going to close the cabinet. That's just who he is. There was a time that would drive me crazy, but now it's no problem. I just closed the drawer. I just closed the cabinet because it's no big deal, because I don't have this thing in me of dissatisfaction with me, discontent with me, so then I can be more loving to him, as well as with my children. My daughter lost her computer. Now, if I was the judgmental, I am not enough mom, if I was in that head place, then I would be like that towards my daughter. Brianna, how could you do this? This doesn't make sense. Do you know how much that computer costs? Here's the truth. Regardless of whether I gave her that long speech, the computer is gone. So I didn't have to. I just simply said, Bri, you got to work harder to be more responsible. I need you to slow down and be connected to what you're doing when you're doing it. Because that very week I lost my iPod. So I had to be merciful to her, because I had to then be merciful to me. Now, I had just bought this iPod and I really like my iPod, and I purchased it with a reason to be able to listen to audiobooks, which I think helps me with my coaching. But also I'm living in Beijing. It has all my little apps so I could learn the subway system and all that. This little thing was very helpful to me, but I lost it. And iPods aren't cheap. So I could have beat myself up. I could still be here 4 months later feeling bad about losing my iPod. No, I forgave myself. I trust that if God provided for me to have one iPod, He'll provide the money for me to have a second iPod. And this time, I will be more intentional. I will be more present. I will be, intentional about where am I sticking this iPod when I'm out and about. Therefore, I can help her through that instead of belittling her and berating her. That is why I think it's so important that we learn to love ourselves. So if the message that you're getting from people in your community, that you are supposed to do so much for your neighbors and self-sacrifice, and the only way you can self-sacrifice is if you're doing it from a place of love. The healthiest way to do it. Now, some of us do that whole self-sacrificing thing, and then we do it, and then we take boast in it, and we probably, well, I'm the one that always have to do this. And then you make everyone around you feel miserable because you did the one little thing for them, to the point where they're thinking, don't do nothing for me anymore. Like, if that is how you're going to do it, don't do it for me anymore. But if you loved yourself, you would see it as, instead of this self-sacrifice, I get to serve. How awesome. What? You have this need? I can do that for you. That is no problem. And you don't need accolades to do it, because your love for you encourages you and inspires you and make you want to be that person. It's not needing so much their accolades. So this is why it's important that we learn how to believe, receive that the God above, the God in heaven, the God the creator, was intentional about creating you, that he didn't make a mistake, that you are not a mistake, that there isn't anything you need to do, there isn't a better you need to be, there isn't a more or a task that you need to complete to make him love you, because he already loves you. He created you. He was intentional. He knows the number of hair on your head. He loves you. So, because he loves you, it's okay that you love you. It's okay that you accept you. And I know some of you guys might be thinking, Kenesha, you're crazy. I have all these flaws. I'm a mess. I do need to be better. The only way you're going to be better or get better is when you receive how loved you are. For me, I get so motivated when I think about, wow, I got to wake up this morning and I have a God that loves me regardless. Like he loves me on the really bad days when I'm so not motivated because of my own fears that I sit and I watch TV all day. God, he still loves me. He loves me on the days that I go to this women's shelter and teach a computer class to these ladies. He loves me, but he doesn't love me more on that day than he loved me on the day I sit and watch TV. So the reason I feel like I can contribute, the reason why I feel like I can show up is because I get how much he loves me. And because he loves me, it helps me to know that I can love me. And then it helps me to know I can show up and be good and loving and caring. I don't have to work to be these things. I become these things when I get that I am loved and when I embrace his love so that I can love myself. So I really hope this message helps someone out there, and I hope that you take the time and do the work and get into self-love and self-care. Also, I'll leave on the website, verythoughtfullife.com. I'll leave on the website some tips on how you can do self-love. So I hope you have a blessed day. My intent is to keep these videos short so that you can kind of jump in and not feel like you wasted your whole day doing this. So I love you guys, and I hope you learn to love yourself. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.